it's time to let that dish breathe. I was just randomly thinking about this as I was on my way to the station here in downtown Toronto. And I feel like I should share this question and have some dialogue with you, the cool cats and the cool kittens, right now about this. So here's my question to all of you. Would you date somebody who has a kid? It's a fair question. It's a fair assessment. I feel like it depends. And this is totally me. My word is not God, obviously. Agree or disagree is totally fine. But I feel, it depends on, where you are at in your life. As far as age, as far as finances, it kind of encompasses a little bit of everything, basically. I know, most people who are in like their late teens or like early 20s, they would be, for the most part, hesitant on kind of taking on that responsibility, whether it's a man dating a woman who has a child, or whether it's a woman dating a man who has a child. It goes both ways. But I happen to find that the answers kind of vary and they differ between the genders. I feel like a man is probably more open to the idea of doing it in his later 20s, because at that point in time, he's a bit more closer to being more financially established in life. Depending on what his lifestyle is, he may be able to facilitate taking on that type of responsibility if he does happen to fall in love with said woman who has said child. With the woman, on the other hand, and I could be totally wrong about this, I'm only basing this on what some women have told me, I feel like a woman would be less prone to doing it depending on what her situation is. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with finances, but more so from an emotional standpoint. I was having a conversation with one of my friends a couple weeks ago, basically saying how she wouldn't want to take on that responsibility, not because of how large a responsibility it is, but because of the fact that she feels as though there would be an asterisk put upon it. And this is her words, not mine, but she would feel somewhat slighted at the fact that this man has a child with another woman rather than her. She would rather share the joy of having her first child and his first child together, basically. So that's why she feels that she wouldn't be able to take on that responsibility. It would be somewhat of a void that would be unfilled. Now, she also told me that if she had a kid and the gentleman had a kid as well, then that's a bit different because they're on the same tier, so to speak. So I've heard not only her, but other women say something similar to that in that fashion as well. And I can understand that. I just generally think that you have to really, really like the person. Obviously, right? I mean, it can't just be something where like you guys are having some sort of like on and off sexual relationship and then like it just comes up out of nothing, out of nowhere, basically. I mean, if you do have that, cool, not judging, totally do you, that's totally fine. But if that's the case, then don't bring the child into it. Of course you can say, yes, I do have a son or a daughter and what have you, but don't, make that child so attached to your situation, quote unquote, and have the child think that that's going to be their new father or mother, basically. Only do that if you know for sure that this is a person that you see yourself dating long term at the very least. Like, I don't want to go and predict marriage because no one can predict who they're going to marry. But if you can if you're dating this person for at least, I'm going to say like 6 months. Okay, I'm going to say 6 months. If you're dating this person for 6 months and you see yourself, going the distance with this person, at least going long term, like extending it to a year or 2 years, whatever, then that's when I would say you may want to bring that child more involved into what you're doing with, your significant other, basically. So I can understand if people who are younger would kind of be very hesitant at the idea. They may want to push back at it and say, hey, I'm not ready for all that. It's totally understandable. It's not something that's easy to make of a decision. But for the people who are willing to do it, good on you. There's people who I know who did something like that when they were in their younger 20s, and that's a very big shoe to fill. I wouldn't have made that decision in my early 20s just because I basically wanted to live more of my life, basically, at that point. Like, I wanted to know what it was like to be single or to do this type of activity or whatever the case may be. A lot of people who are in their early 20s, in this generation especially, have that mindset, and rightfully so. They're still relatively young, right? But I see no problem overall. I see no problem in dating someone who has a child already. That's totally fine. It's just up to the individual if they're ready for that type of commitment. You know, you have to be mentally prepared to say to yourself, if I'm going to be dating this person, then I have to accept everything that is within their life, just as they have to do with mine. And if that means taking care of or being a parent to said child, then so be it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It takes a very mature person to take on that responsibility, and there's not going to be any judgment thrown at anyone who isn't mature enough to handle that type of responsibility. It's not their responsibility to take on at the end of the day. But if they are dating somebody and they want to go long term with this person, then that's something that they have to come to the realization of. But that's just my opinion right there. What do you guys think? Would you guys date someone who had a child? Would you not? Are you against it? Are you for it? Do you condemn it? Do you promote it? Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter at DM_cool or cool_radio and share your thoughts with yours truly.